So that was Blinken's message to China. Even Europe is concerned. Josep Borrell is the EU's top diplomat. He met with his Chinese counterpart Wang Yi last week. Borrell says he asked Wang Yi about this, whether China will arm Russia. He asked him, and Wang Yi said no. But Borrell isn't taking his answer at face value.
When I asked him about the possible military support of China to Russia, he was very clear and assertive. I can only repeat what he told me. China is not providing arms to Russia. Certainly, we have to remain vigilant.
We have to be vigilant, he says. Borrell was at the United Nations yesterday. There was an important vote at the UN General Assembly, a vote that Russia lost. Basically, the UN wants Russia to withdraw from Ukraine. That was the vote. 141 countries voted in favor, 7 were against, 32 abstained. Russia called the vote, quote-unquote, unbalanced and anti-Russian. And India was one of the countries that abstained. So did China. Remember, this whole exercise was symbolic. This vote, the United Nations vote, has no legal binding on Russia. Yes, it makes a statement, but it will not lead to a Russian withdrawal. In fact, the UN has never been able to stop or end any war. So it changes nothing on the ground, but Ukraine tried to make the most of it.
This vote defies the argument that Global South does not stand on Ukraine's side, because many countries representing Latin America, Africa, Asia voted in favor today.
Back in Kiev, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky is declaring a win too. On the anniversary of the war, the first anniversary, Zelensky released a video. The title of the video was this: "The Year of Invincibility." Ukraine's president claims they'll win the war this year.
Великі народи великої України.
We will defeat all threats: shelling, bombs, missiles, kamikaze drones, blackouts, cold. We are stronger than all this. It was a year of endurance, a year of compassion, a year of bravery, a year of pain, a year of hope, a year of perseverance, a year of unity, a year of invincibility, a fierce year of invincibility. Its main conclusion is that we have survived. We had not been defeated, and we will do everything to win this war.
Це був рік стійкості.
Full marks for theatrics. But the plan itself sounds a bit far-fetched, especially when you consider the shortage of ammunition. Zelensky's message makes one thing clear, though. Ukraine is in no mood to negotiate. It wants to fight this out on the battlefield. And what's the mood on the ground? Well, it's somber. Ukrainians are still living in fear. They don't know where the next attack could come from. Today, ceremonies were held across the country as the attacks continued. Russia has launched a fresh wave of strikes. Russian troops are closing in on Bakhmut. It's an important city in eastern Ukraine. The Wagner group is said to have made advances here. It says it took control of a village.
Верховка полностью взята под наш контроль. Подразделение ЧВК «Вагнер».
The battle for the east is important. If Russia is successful, Putin will be emboldened to make more advances. And if Ukraine manages to hold on, it could weaken Russian forces on the ground. That's not happening yet. Russia remains on the offensive, backed by Chinese support. Beijing is taking on the West. It's accusing the West of pouring fuel into the fire.
乌克兰危机至今已有1年。
The international community should make joint efforts to facilitate peace talks. 1 year in the Ukraine crisis, brutal facts offer an ample proof that sending weapons will not bring peace. Adding fuel to the fire will only exacerbate tensions. Prolonging and expanding the conflict will only make ordinary people pay an even heftier price.
And leading the Western response is Germany. The German foreign minister said, "We did not want this war, in fact. We did not choose the war." This is what she said. And that the German government would much rather focus every bit of our energy and money in fixing our schools and fighting the climate crisis and strengthening social justice. She ended her speech with this.
But the truth is, if Russia stops fighting, this war ends. If Ukraine stops fighting, Ukraine ends. And the human suffering would continue every single day.
Meanwhile, China has proposed a peace plan, a 12-point peace plan. It calls for a ceasefire, security guarantees for Russia, no sanctions on Moscow, humanitarian corridors, and the resumption of dialogue between Moscow and Kiev. It looks fine on paper, except that Ukraine was not consulted and the West will not be on board.